This is Tokido. It's impossible to find a more consistent Street Fighter player than him. The man is meticulous, a champion, the winner of 3 Evolution Championship Series brackets, split across 3 different games and a 15-year span. Most recently, he won Street Fighter V at EVO 2017, the second biggest tournament in the game's lifespan, second to only the previous year's edition. But Tokido's not the one we're here to talk about today. This is Gachikun. A few years ago, he was just a Drum Mania player in the arcades of Hiroshima. Now, after developing one of his region's best Sagats in Street Fighter IV, he's trying to make a name for himself in Street Fighter V. To date, he has just one Capcom Pro Tour result to his name, a 7th place finish at Japan Cup. Not bad at all. But it's hard to imagine today will be his day. Gachikun might be a rising young star, but Tokido, on the other hand, is a legend with a laundry list of tournament wins to his name. No shot, right? So it looked at first, as Tokido's Akuma and its big damage put Gachikun down 1-0 in the best of 3. But Gachikun came roaring back, pinning Tokido into the corner and piling on the damage. Not only would he pull the comeback against Tokido, but he would win his next 2 sets as well, defeating Infiltration and Nemo before falling to Nemo in Grand Finals for 2nd place. Red Bull Kumite is one of a few closed bracket events on the Street Fighter calendar, a 16-entrant bracket where most of the slots are filled by invited players, with the rest filled by the winners of an open bracket Last Chance Qualifier. It's a format that's ripe for chaos like Gachikun's run. And while this event was unseeded with matchups determined by random draw, Gachikun would have been one of the lower seeds at Kumite 2017. Every single one of his wins would have been considered an upset going into the event. Consider Capcom Cup, the other major closed bracket event on the Street Fighter calendar. Capcom Cup is a seeded event, using the results of the Capcom Pro Tour standings to seed the bracket. Since it expanded to 32 players in 2015, Capcom Cup has seen at least one low-seeded player pop off in every single one of its brackets. In 2015, 30th seed Mise took down the 2nd, 3rd, and 7th seeds, Infiltration, Bonchan, and Tokido, on his way to a 5th place finish. In 2016, Losers Finals saw 26th seed Ricky Ortiz dispatch 22nd seed Kazunoko for the right to lose to 4th seeded NuckleDu in Grand Finals. And then, in 2017, there was the definitive low seed run in the event's history when 24th seeded MenaRD defeated Daigo and Tokido twice to win the event. Capcom Cup provides a much different tournament setting to the typical event. Most Street Fighter tournaments are open bracket, and the largest can get pretty massive. The largest Street Fighter V tournament of all time was EVO 2016, clocking in at over 5,000 entrants. In 2018, 2,499 players entered Evolution, and the winner, Problem X, had to win 11 sets to do it. In Capcom Cup's 32 entrant bracket, the longest possible run, losing in the first round and then running it all the way back to the championship, is 11 sets. The shortest possible run, however, winning the tournament without dropping a single set, is merely 6 sets. More matches means more variance, you might think. But over 4 years of 1,900 plus entrant brackets, the lowest seed to win a Street Fighter V Evolution bracket is the 2018 winner, Problem X, who was the 16th seed. So how could a 32-person tournament possibly generate more chaos than one with multiple thousands of players? There's a phenomenon in fighting games, in many competitive games in fact, where some players who match up very well against top-level players can struggle with their lower-level opponents in earlier rounds. It seems counterintuitive. If they're so good against high-level players, why aren't they shutting down their pool's opponents with ease? Gachikun himself talked about this concept on his stream in 2019, discussing Kawano, an up-and-coming Japanese player who was picking up some impressive wins over top players but had been losing early at recent events. Gachikun said,
簡単に言うと相手によって動き変えれば一番いいんだけど、そこの引き出しを持ってないけどカードが。安定して下に勝つっていうのはやっぱそのどんだけ楽でして勝つか気づくのすげえ遅かったっすわ。やっぱ。だけど俺も最初はなんか全部同じ立ち回りにやってで負けるっていうのが多かったんですけど、やっぱ最近はそれに気づけて楽できるとこはする。でちゃんとやるとこはやるみたいな感じでやったらやっぱトーナメント残りやすくなる。それに気づいたの結構最近なんですけど、俺も。
Critically, for Gachikun, Red Bull Kumite 2017 was an opportunity to get to use his high-level tactics without having to worry about those lower-level players he would soon learn to take out with ease. Despite falling just short of the title, the Kumite run was a turning point in Gachikun's career. In taking down 4 champions on his way to second, Gachikun didn't just prove to international fighting game audiences that he was a name worth following, he proved to himself that professional Street Fighter was a career worth pursuing. Prior to Kumite, Gachikun was hindered by Hiroshima's distance from Tokyo, the center of the Japanese Street Fighter scene. As he told Red Bull in a 2018 interview, Gachikun had relied on online play for his practice in Hiroshima. After his 2017 move to Tokyo, he had access to strong training partners like Daigo Umehara, Bonchan, Tokido, and Mago. With no Sagat in Street Fighter V, Gachikun immediately pivoted to Rashid. While both have a projectile attack to use, the similarities mostly end there. But all that matters to Gachikun, as he told Event Hubs back in 2017, is that the character has the depth to motivate him to keep developing new strategies and techniques. I haven't used any characters except Sagat and Rashid since I started Street Fighter IV, but I think they're both fun and both feel like characters that you're rewarded for putting proper time into. So with that in mind, I'd say I look for characters that can keep my motivation to play up and are fun to use. Where Sagat is slow and plodding, Rashid is one of the fastest characters in the game. He'll use that speed on offense, carrying opponents from center stage to the corner off one combo, and he'll use it on defense using incredibly quick movement options like his V-skill roll or the full screen EX Eagle Spike to bust out of the corner. Rashid also has a wall jump, giving him one of the most extensive toolkits for escaping pressure in the game. For Gachikun, this was a big part of what made Rashid so engaging. He could always find new ways to exploit Rashid's corner advantage, no matter where he was on the screen or what position he was in relative to his opponent. Here's where we need to talk about one of the most critical aspects of 2D fighting games like Street Fighter: the corner. In a game like Street Fighter, being able to be unpredictable in your distance from the opponent by walking forward or backward is critical to landing whiff punishes or surprise attacks. However, when you lose the ability to move backwards in the corner, the opponent gains a massive advantage in that your positioning becomes that much more controllable and predictable, and thus, they are able to much more easily dictate the match. Corner situations can be some of the most tense moments in fighting games. Characters who rely on momentum usually make their comebacks by utilizing the corner and the way it reduces the opponent's options on defense to induce panic. Get pushed to the corner and guess wrong 2 or 3 times, and that lead you spent the whole round building up can evaporate just like that. In April 2018, Rashid was heavily nerfed, with his ability to extend combos off of his standing light kick taking a particular hit. A popular character in high-level play, Rashid made up 4 of the 32 representatives of Capcom Cup in 2017. Gachikun said in 2017 that he was expecting the nerfs, and he was prepared. so I'm expecting him to get nerfed, but I'm not too concerned about that. But I don't want the character's fun factor to disappear, so I hope he can remain a fun character like he's been up until now, even if he gets nerfed. Gachikun is a player whose motivation comes from his character's fun factor, so we need look no further than his results to confirm that Rashid still scratched the itch. Gachikun, in fact, wouldn't win his first tournament of 2018 until after the nerfs at Indonesia's Capcom Pro Tour event, the Capcom Cup, in July. In a summer 2018 interview, Oil King, Taiwan's top Rashid player, said in an ESL interview that Gachikun's victory was part of why he continued to believe in Rashid's power. I think Rashid has been nerfed a lot, but he is still okay. I just need to think more about Rashid and how he plays against other characters. For example, at the CPT event in Indonesia, we were able to see Gachikun win the event with Rashid. So I think, even though Rashid has been nerfed a lot, Rashid is still viable. Within a month, Gachikun would make another huge statement, placing 4th at EVO, the largest open event of the year. Those two tournaments alone accounted for 550 points on the Capcom Pro Tour, just under half of the 1,114 he would accumulate en route to qualifying for the 2018 Capcom Cup. Capcom Cup is Street Fighter's Super Bowl. Across 2 days in January, 32 of the world's best Street Fighter players duke it out for a $250,000 grand prize. To qualify, you have to either win in the previous year's event, win a continental final, rank in the top 26 on the Capcom Pro Tour leaderboard, or win the grueling Last Chance Qualifier, one double elimination tournament where the whole world fights for the final spot. Gachikun's 1,114 points comfortably qualified him at 18th, but fell well behind tournament favorites like Tokido at 4,431, Fujimura at 2,971, and Problem X at 2,771. Day 1 cuts the bracket from 32 players to 8. The dominance of Gachikun's Day 1 in 2018 will almost certainly never be matched. It's simple math. Over 3 matches to qualify for top 8, Gachikun dropped just 4 rounds. The game plan was simple. Get the opponent to the corner, then lock him down. Looking at his first match against Big Bird, the numbers for the full set look relatively close. Gachikun put Big Bird into the corner 12 times, dealing 2.5 life bars worth of damage over 83 seconds of lockdown pressure. Big Bird wasn't far behind, at 9 corner situations, dealing 1.7 life bars over 69 seconds. But that's a bit skewed. Game 2 had a perfect from Big Bird that was essentially one long corner string, in which Gachikun was locked down for 25 seconds straight and watched over 80% of his life bar drain away. From there on, it was all Gachikun, and he would take half of Big Bird's life in the corner in 3 of his winning rounds as he went on to complete the 3-0 sweep, the closeout round of games 1 and 2, and the opening round of game 3. The fact that he was able to do this in the mirror match against Big Bird, the Middle East's best Rashid, was impressive enough, but it was his performance against Tokido's Akuma, a matchup Gachikun has called one of Rashid's worst, that truly showed that he was at Capcom Cup to win it. Not only was Tokido the top seed, running away with a top spot on the CPT leaderboard, but he had stopped Gachikun at both of the biggest majors of the summer, defeating him 2-1 at CEO and 3-1 at EVO. That 6th situation came in the first round of Game 3, and it's the perfect example of Gachikun's utter dominance of the corner. Tokido gets ever so slightly sloppy in his coverage of Gachikun's escape. Gachikun is able to mash out an EX spinning mixer, taking Tokido to the corner, and the round is already as good as over. That corner situation, in which Gachikun deleted 78% of Tokido's life bar to end the round, was his most damaging of the tournament, and one of two against Tokido in which he took at least 2/3 of Akuma's health in one go. The first one a 68% string that finished game number 1. The count of corner situations, 13-6 in Gachikun's favor, and corner time, 113 seconds to 21 in Gachikun's favor, already told a grim story for Tokido. But the damage, 2.9 life bars for Gachikun compared to 8% for Tokido? Yeah, that's the story of the set right there. Gachikun's win over Tokido was only part of the craziness of Capcom Cup 2018's first day though. 8 of the 16 round 1 matchups went to the underdog. The 2016 and 2017 Capcom Cup champions, NuckleDu and MenaRD, were put into losers in round 1 by Itabashi Zangief and Problem X respectively. Punk and Daigo Umehara were matched up in round 1, and the winner, Punk, fell to Abigail player Storm Kubo. Fudo, the 4th seed, was upset in round 1 by Chris T. And it didn't even stop there. Gachikun's win sent Tokido to losers in round 2. Daigo fell in losers round 1 to NL. Fudo was eliminated by Punk in losers round 2, who then fell to Kaba in losers round 3. Tokido's losers run was snuffed out by Momochi, also in losers round 3, ending the first seed's run at 13th. And that's the same position where NuckleDu would fall to up-and-coming Emirati Zeku player Angry Bird. All around Gachikun, top players were dropping. He had to get through one of the biggest causes of the chaos to qualify for top 24. Itabashi Zangief, the Abigail player who had already sent NuckleDu and Momochi to the losers bracket. Itazan had an inconsistent 2018, peaking with a win at Brazil's Jam Festival and 4th place finishes at Tiger Uppercut and TW Fighter Major. The lows, though, included 25th place finishes at Final Round and VS Fighting and a brutal 129th place finish at EVO. This is the nature of his characters, Abigail and Zangief though, big boys with bigger buttons. These characters define high variance. If you're on point with them, you can take a round off of a single mistake. But this was the problem for Itabashi Zangief. He needed Gachikun to make a mistake, and on this day, that wasn't happening. Gachikun's pressure was immaculate as he was able to take just about every opening Itabashi Zangief gave him and turn it into almost infinite pressure, taking Abigail to the corner and locking him down over and over again. If you thought Tokido's tiny 8% of corner damage was rough, Itazan couldn't even manage that. He had Gachikun in the corner for all of 1 second. Whoops, there it goes. Did you blink? Sorry, you missed it. This is just part of the Abigail matchup though, especially against characters like Rashid with a good projectile to make his incredible normal attacks that much more frustrating. They get to pile on the pressure with Abigail forced to block or make a wild read to open them up. But if they can patiently await the opening, they were rewarded, especially back in Season 3 when Abigail was at his strongest with massive damage. That's why it was so critical for Gachikun to finish his plate in this set. Give a talented Abigail player a second chance, especially someone who has the experience of playing these explosive characters for years in Itabashi Zangief, and you usually regret it. Gachikun finished 3 rounds by locking Itazan in the corner for at least 1/3 of his life bar, and he made the most out of just about every situation, dealing 3.1 life bars worth of damage across 10 corner situations. That is to say, Itabashi Zangief was watching about 1/3 of his life bar melt every time he was put into the corner. And given the ease Rashid has in getting you there, That's a problem. Top 8 opened with an all Red Bull matchup as Gachikun went up against Bonchan, who had made a Cinderella run of his own, upsetting Haitani and Sako on his way to top 8. Bonchan did so with Karin, but opted for an old friend against Gachikun and Rashid, Nash, whose teleport V reversal and V trigger gave him unique options to escape Rashid's corner pressure. Gachikun would lose the second game, finally dropping his first game of the entire tournament. Bonchan's ability to escape the corner was a defining factor, but it wasn't enough, as Gachikun was able to use a couple of devastating corner sequences to save Game 3 after falling down a round. In the deciding third round, Gachikun took 72% of Bonchan's life bar from corner sequences. A dominant Game 4 showed just why Bonchan was saving his Nash for this matchup, but Game 5 saw Gachikun work Bonchan back into the corner early and often, taking nearly half of his life in 5 corner situations across the 2 rounds. The win over Bonchan set up a winner's final matchup with the last top seed standing, Fujimura. The best Ibuki in the world, Fujimura won 3 Capcom Pro Tour events, including CEO 2018, and was coming off of a win at Red Bull Kumite 2018 just prior to Capcom Cup. With the way the bracket was shaking out, many saw it as his tournament to lose heading into Sunday. Fujimura would continue winning the corner scrambles in Game 2, and Gachikun would fall behind 2-0. After Gachikun was dealing 23% of a life bar to the average cornered opponent in his first 4 sets, Fujimura was escaping after just 9%. But as Gachikun was able to figure out how to cover Fujimura's corner escapes, things finally started moving in his favor. He turned it around to deal 1.2 life bars worth of damage across 8 corner situations. The craziness in the losers bracket didn't stop while Gachikun was advancing through winners. Itabashi Zangief, who had been in loser side since Gachikun sent him there the day before, went on a legendary run after that loss. After taking out Kaba to qualify for top 8, Itazan rolled through Angry Bird, Justin Wong, Sien, and Fujimura to earn his spot in grand finals. As the 24th seed, Itazan still trailed Ricky Ortiz as the lowest seed to ever make a Capcom Cup Grand Finals, and he was tied with MenaRD, the 2017 champion, for second. However, Itazan being seated so low wasn't what made this the craziest Capcom Cup ever by itself. Even though Ricky and Mena were lower seeded as well, they at least faced high-seeded players in NuckleDu at 4th and Tokido at 1st, respectively, in their Grand Finals matches. No, it was Itazan's losers run combined with Gachikun's utter decimation of the winner's bracket that made this the craziest Capcom Cup ever. The Grand Finals matchup saw the 17th seed matched up against the 24th seed, a combined seeding of 41 that dwarfs the other 4 years since the Capcom Cup expanded to 32 players. Itazan was the only one on Gachikun's level that weekend, and he proved it by taking the first set of grand finals against Gachikun, showcasing Abigail's trademark explosiveness and getting rewarded for some bold plays out of the corner. Abigail thrives on foisting doubt upon the opponent. If the opponent doubts their pressure, Abigail can find the openings he needs to get out of the corner and exploit his huge damage. To beat him, especially the powerful 2018 version of Abigail, you needed to push the advantage hard and deny him any opportunity to swing back. After getting absolutely shut down on Saturday, Itazan won by nearly neutralizing Gachikun's corner advantage, taking a 3.1 to 0 corner life bar damage lead versus Gachikun and narrowing that gap to just 1.8 to 1.5 in Gachikun's favor when taking into account their previous match. Itazan may have still taken slightly more damage in the corner, but Abigail more than possessed the damage output in other phases of the game to make up for it. However, in the bracket reset, Gachikun returned to the level that defined his play on Saturday, absolutely shutting down Itazan. It wasn't one specific adjustment that did it. Gachikun won with aggression, and he won also via timeout. His ability to play at multiple different speeds made it too difficult for Itabashi Zangief to keep doing what he had done the whole weekend: make the right read over and over again. While the dominance wasn't quite to the level of Saturday's winner's quarters set, it was close enough. Gachikun dealt 3.4 life bars worth of damage across 19 corner situations in the reset, locking Itabashi in the corner for over 2 minutes of game time, compared to a mere 0.7 life bars of damage across 4 corner situations, covering 28 seconds for Itazan. Abigail's V-trigger was good, but it wasn't good enough to close that kind of gap. His character was nerfed, but it didn't matter. Gachikun had been studying, and he knew he was still piloting a character with a lot of strengths, chief among them his command of the corner. Across 7 sets against 5 of the best Street Fighter has to offer, Gachikun out-damaged them in the corner by a count of 20.4 life bars to 7.6, nearly outpacing them by 3 times. His opponent spent 780 seconds, exactly 13 minutes in the corner. It was one of the cleanest performances you'll ever see, much less one on a stage that big, and it elevated Gachikun to a legend of Street Fighter. From grinding Street Fighter V online in his apartment in Hiroshima to winning $250,000 on the biggest stage in Street Fighter in just 2 years' time, Gachikun's rise is one of the most meteoric you'll ever see in fighting games. It's something not even the man himself envisioned. He told Red Bull before the 2018 Capcom Cup, "I myself did not dream of becoming a pro when I was younger, so I want to become something to aspire to for players in regional areas. I started from scratch, and my strong will and competitive spirit brought me to where I am." Fighting games like Street Fighter have never been more competitive. With all the legendary names still fighting it out, and all the young talent constantly emerging, it can seem daunting for somebody trying to start out, much less somebody from an area like Gachikun's hometown of Hiroshima, isolated from the centers of the game's competitive universe. It's challenging, to be sure, but for the aspiring professional gamers in remote areas out there watching this, Gachikun proved that it's not impossible. It requires a serious grind, constant motivation, and you need to seize the moment when it comes to you, like he did at Red Bull Kumite 2017 and Capcom Cup 2018. The path is out there, just waiting for the next Gachikun to walk it.